And so begins the next theme week for the Post SHRIEK Out reactions. And if you thought sequels week was bad, we now begin found footage week. All week long we're going to be looking at either found footage movies or mockumentary style films, like fake documentaries about spooky subjects. And oh my god, this is not going to be a fun week. There's some found footage films I like. I actually think that there's a lot of found footage films that actually get it right and are completely overlooked, but man, they are like the go-to example of just lazy ass filmmaking. And we are going to see a lot of that this week. We're going to look for the good. One of the reasons why I wanted to do a found footage week was because, yeah, since they're so much cheaper, people can actually take more risk with them. And there's a lot of like creepy cryptids and legends and myths out there that I've always wanted to see get adapted into horror movies, and nobody's willing to do it, except for the found footage folks. Found footage folks got time and money. No, wait, they don't have money. They got time and a camera. So they are going to go out there and they're going to shoot whatever they can about this weird spooky thing I've always wanted to see a movie about. And I've always wanted to see a horror movie about my phone going off at the worst possible time. I've always wanted to see a horror movie about Bigfoot. Like, there's a few out there.
Not really that much. I mean, like, I think of like Bigfoot movies, I think of Harry and the Hendersons, which isn't even a horror movie.
Pretty much it, yeah. But I've always kind of liked, not just Bigfoot, but like all the American cryptids.
Yeah.
Like I like all of our homegrown guys. Like I like the home team on this one, but no one ever makes movies about the Jersey Devil. No one ever makes a movie about Mothman. No one makes movies about Bigfoot.
It's like Bigfoot is the most well-known out of all the American cryptids, I feel.
And even then, we share them with Canada. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have joint custody of that guy.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, do you consider the Abominable Snowman like a relative of Bigfoot?
I consider it to be kind of like a separate thing, and the reason why I consider the Abominable Snowman or Yeti to be separate from Bigfoot is because Bigfoot ain't real. I can guarantee you right now, I know for a fact, Bigfoot is not real at all. Definitely not. No way. Yeti, I actually think there's a chance there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because, I mean, we think of the Yeti as being like this big cryptic thing. I guarantee you one day it is entirely possible we could just discover, hey, there's a breed of large apes that live in the mountains of the Himalayas. And people have just mistaken those for Yetis. And it's like, well, not really mistaken, because the Yeti is just a big ape. And it's like, yeah, it's not like I'm coming in here describing like a tiny goblin whose body works in a way that defies the laws of physics. The Yeti is just a very large ape. And hey man, I could buy you finding a very large ape out there in the Himalayas, because I mean, hey, that's an area where people don't really go to explore. It's almost uninhabitable for people, but you know, a really big creature that over generations of evolution have grown a thick enough skin and thick enough fur to be able to survive up there. Oh, I could actually see that kind of working. But Bigfoot, that area is way too populated with people. There's way too many hikers going in there. If Bigfoot was real, we would know about. But yeah, that's the reason why to me, Yeti and Bigfoot are kind of separate things. I think Yeti could actually mate, like the Yeti is the one cryptid out there that I'm actually like, that could actually maybe exist. I held on to the Loch Ness Monster for a long time. I really want Nessie to be real, but by this point, we would have to have probably discovered it if it was actually a thing, but...
Although, if you've ever watched, like, River Monsters, you know there's, like, plenty of
there's
real
weird shit out there. That's the other thing about these cryptids. Like, I feel like there's a lot of them that you gotta give some partial credit on, because especially, like, anything that has to do with, like, sea monsters or something, it's like, there's weird shit in the ocean out there. Like, we thought the giant squid was a made-up monster for generations until we actually found one, and it was like, oh, that's actually a real thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, a lot of those sea monsters out there, it could just be a really weird big fish out there. And if you discovered a really big weird fish, people are like, hey, check out this really big weird fish. But it's like, that could be the exact thing that our ancestors were describing. They just put little embellishments on it when they drew them on the map there. So, yeah, I actually have like a weird fascination with cryptids. I actually do kind of dig cryptids because even though I don't believe in most of them, I think it's kind of fascinating, like following like the history behind like what could have been the thing that created them. Like, you know how like mermaids were manatees. Like, well, the manatee's kind of a cool looking creature. That's kind of a cool animal there. So yeah, it kind of like leads into something. But also like I dig American cryptids because America is big, but it still almost feels like we've discovered everything here that needs to be discovered. So that idea that there's still something secret here in America, something that we have not seen yet, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, also America is a newer country compared to like, China or Japan or even England. Yeah, it's like, those countries, they've had their cryptids for like generations and like, centuries, but like we're still developing, yeah, so it's like...
Exactly, so like when somebody says like, hey, I saw like the Jersey Devil, it's like, oh yeah, that was like a thing from like the 1500s, right? It's like, no, I saw it back in 1980. It's like, oh, well, okay then. That's still like pretty damn recent here. Fun fact about cryptids, by the way, the Jersey Devil has more reported sightings sorry, I cannot talk. This is the third review that we've done in a row, so I've got major mush mouth right now. The Jersey Devil actually has more reported sightings than Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster combined.
Interesting.
And yet no one talks about it. Like, the Jersey Devil isn't even, like, far from us. Like, it's just one state over.
I mean, there's the Jersey Devils sports team, but...
Hey, Bigfoot just got a sports team or whatever that weird orange version of Bigfoot is. What is that thing? That's creepier than any cryptid I've ever seen.
But yeah, we're getting way off track.
I think 2018 is summed up perfectly by the fact that the two mascots we've gotten this year have been the giant orange furry hockey guy and Bowsette. Like, that's the two races of this year. But yeah, let's go ahead and actually talk about this film from the master of horror, Bobcat Goldthwait. Which, hey man, Bobcat Goldthwait, the guy, he has gone out there and he has decided he wants to be a director, and he actually has a long directing career. His directing career is bigger than his acting career. Like, he has done a lot of stuff out there. So kudos to him on that. I mean, he is one of those actors who, like, was on the fast track to being typecast because, he just talked in yells and sounded like he was drunk at all times. So yeah, there's not a lot of roles for a guy like that. So he decided, well, I don't want to play that character forever. I want to direct. I'm going to direct. And he's actually put out some pretty good stuff. He's put out some stuff that I've actually been pretty impressed with. Like, I don't love 100% of any of his films. Like, all of his films have that moment in which I just stop and go, oh, okay, now hold up a second. Hold up. Back it up a little bit now. But I do applaud the guy for trying some really different stuff, for trying some really creative stuff. He's telling really unique stories in a lot of his films. I mean, like, World's Greatest Dad is a film that I never imagined I would see from anyone. It's a very fascinating movie. So yeah, I totally applaud the guy. But man, this is easily the worst thing I've ever seen him do. This film is awful. This film is absolute #1 garbage. This is one of the worst found footage films
if you can even call it found footage.
No, it's found footage, but I don't know if you can call it a movie. This film is
It's more
awful.
like a home movie, in all honesty.
Well, that's kind of, he was saying, found footage films should, to me, kind of feel like a home movie. You kind of feel like you found this tape and just something went weird throughout the course of this tape. But this movie is about two people who are trying to make a documentary about Willow Creek, which is the place where that famous Bigfoot tape was filmed. That famous fake Bigfoot tape. Which, yeah, that's another thing. They keep going in here and talking about how, oh, could that Bigfoot tape be real? It's like, that thing has been disproved so hard. Like, I'm one of those I want to believe guys, but even I'm coming in here is like, nah, man, everyone knows that was bullshit. Everyone knows that was a load of crap. Like, even the guy who was in the suit, in the Bigfoot suit, came out years later. Was like, yeah, I was just a guy in a suit. So yeah, it's about these two people trying to make a documentary about Bigfoot, and you get that sense like they've never made a documentary before. Like, this is their big ticket to fame. Like, yeah, we're gonna try something. It's gonna be fun. But the woman is an actress, and she wants to move to Hollywood. But the husband, well, they're not husband yet. They
are they engaged?
They get engaged during the course of this film.
Oh, right.
At one point, they do like exchange rings. But that comes so late in this movie that it's like, oh shoot, we forgot to like make people care about these characters. Here, they're getting engaged. You see, they care about each other, right? Right? Yeah, now you care about them, right, audience? But yeah, it's like, okay, they're kind of going through some hard times because she wants to move to LA because that's where all the acting gigs are, but he doesn't want to move to LA. So it's like, oh, what's going to come with that? That gets resolved.
He has like an obsession with Bigfoot, and she's just like kind of going along with it.
She wants a career, yeah.
She wants a career, but she cares about him, so she just kind of goes along with
shit. Yeah. So they're going up to Willow Creek, and this movie is only 40 minutes, it's only 80 minutes, by the way. So it is short.
But it feels so long.
It feels so goddamn long because the first giant chunk of this movie, like, I think it was actually like the first 50 minutes. It was almost the hour mark of this film. Of an 80-minute long film. It was almost at the hour mark when they finally go into the woods.
Yeah.
Everything up until then is them just going and interviewing people about Bigfoot.
Yeah, and like going to like thrift shops and like, you know, getting Bigfoot knickknacks and like going to like tourist traps and stuff.
Like they're actually in Willow Creek, so they actually are at the, like, this is actually stuff that is there. Like they're seeing like a big like wood cutting of Bigfoot. They're going to like a Bigfoot like tourist trap place and seeing all the knickknacks that they have. They go to like a Bigfoot diner that's there. Like all that stuff is fascinating, which as I was looking up Bobcat Goldthwait's IMDb page to remember what this movie was called, because even though we just saw it like not that long ago, it's that forgettable. But he also, like, this came out in 2013. In 2017, he directed a Bigfoot documentary. This is apparently just a thing he's into. Like, this is just an obsession that he had. Like, he's really into Bigfoot, which, okay, cool.
Maybe his next one will be a bit more interesting.
I was about to say, it's like, okay, so this is the thing you're passionate about. Why didn't the movie turn out better than, like, oh my god, we'll get into my problems with that in a second. But yeah, it's just them going around and like looking at Bigfoot stuff, and it does kind of make you realize, after you now know that Bobcat Goldthwait is just a big Bigfoot fan, it feels like he never wanted to make a Bigfoot found footage movie. He wanted to make the Bigfoot documentary, but whoever was funding it was like, I don't want to make a Bigfoot documentary. How about a Bigfoot horror film? I'm gonna give you $10 for it. Well, I guess I can put together a found footage thing. Great. Like, that feels what this is. It feels like he tried to, like, sneak his Bigfoot documentary into a Bigfoot horror film by going around doing all these interviews. Because in the credits, there's a lot of people just listed as themselves. So it's like, okay, well, he's just going up to, like, random people and just getting their actual stories.
Honestly, if the movie was just about, like, the people in Willow Creek, I think it would be way more interesting.
I kind of want to watch this Bigfoot documentary he made.
I kind of just want to visit Willow Creek and, like...
Me too!
Yeah, I mean, like, they have, like, a diner with, like, a Bigfoot sandwich, which is, like, 2 slices
I want to eat a Bigfoot sandwich!
Yeah, it looks delicious.
Yeah! Best part of this movie, the sandwich. But yeah, it really does just kind of feel like he did not want to make a horror film about Bigfoot. He wanted to make the documentary. He just kind of had to sneak it in the back door of his Bigfoot horror film. And because of that, like 50 minutes of this movie is them just going around like talking to people, but nobody's stories are that interesting. And maybe they would be interesting if this was a documentary, because in a documentary you're allowed to cut. But because this is a found footage film, they can't cut. They have to just show the entire footage. And it's like, oh my god, I don't care about this person's story.
Like, this is basically a vacation video.
Kind of. It really is.
It is.
Yeah, it's like watching somebody's... I've always said about found footage, it should feel like you're watching kind of like something voyeuristic. Like you got like this tape that's of someone's personal life, but then things go wrong in there. This is a movie where things go wrong, but it's way after you would have gotten bored watching this tape.
It's
like,
too little, too late.
I don't give a shit.
It's basically going to your friend's house, like, oh hey, let's check out my vacation video, and they just make you watch it.
It's you watching your friend's vacation videos, but if you were somehow able to stick with it for an hour,
like
then it'd be like, wait, what happened to you here? Except that even when, like, the twist comes, it's nothing interesting in here. But yeah, so there is nothing to talk about in the first, like, 50 minutes of this movie. That's when they finally go into the woods, and they meet some guy, and it's like, oh, so you want to get to Willow Creek? Okay. What you want to do, you want to turn your ass back around and just get out here. And the guy's, like, spitting on them and, like, throwing shit at them, and they're, like, driving out there. Like, don't worry. I know a back entrance in there. And you never get, like, any explanation of, like, why this guy was, like, so determined to, like, keep these people out there. It's like, okay, is this guy, like, hunting Bigfoot and he knows, like, the threat of Bigfoot and he's trying to warn them to stay away because he could have been less dickish about it? Or is he involved in something else that we'll get into in a second here?
No, I don't know. I kind of feel like he's one of those, like, stereotypical backwoods, like, angry folk, like, y'all ain't from around here, you don't know what you're doing, you better get
But then why is he... But that's kind of how he's being portrayed, and you can tell, like, Bobcat Goldthwait has no real respect for, like, the people from this area. And we'll get into that again in a second. But yeah, he comes off kind of like that. But then again, why is this random redneck guy trying to like keep people away from the Bigfoot location. Like, what's in it for him? Why does he give a crap about that? That's never explained. You never get anything on that. So these people, they know of a secret entrance in there, so they sneak around. They go around this other trail. Then they hike out towards this location. They set up their camp. We get some more like footage of them just kind of dicking around. The guy strips down naked and goes swimming, which the guy has a nice ass. I'll give him that. So there's 1 plus for this. That and the sandwich. Hooray! So they are then just in their camp. They're in their tent, and they have their little talk about moving out to L.A. And they agree to do it. And then they go to bed. Then they wake back up because they hear something outside. And they just have the camera on them for like a solid 10-minute long take. It's like 10 minutes of this 80-minute long film. It's them going, oh, what's that? What was that out there? I think I heard something. I'm not exaggerating that, by the way. I'm cutting that short because I know that you guys will be like, oh my God, just move this on already. We were yelling that at the screen.
Yeah, and like, there was some moaning in the background.
Every now and again you would hear like this.
And they would say, that's not a human noise. Like, that is totally
a human noise. That's 100% a human noise.
A human can totally make that noise. Quit bullshitting.
It's 100% a human noise. And also, if you're trying to convince me that's Bigfoot, no. Unless Bigfoot and his friends were just sucking down some helium. It's like, it almost sounds like a person trying to imitate a cat.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not it. Like, even if that's Bigfoot, I'm not going to be intimidated by Bigfoot. Like, the amazing twist would be if they then went out of their tent and it was Bigfoot, but Bigfoot was like yay big.
Oh, it's Littlefoot.
Oh,
it's the dinosaur from Land Before Time.
Oh, look at this little guy.
Aww.
Let's take one home. Picking him up, like, no, let me down, no. Oh, he's trying to rip my face off. Yeah, it's just us for 10 minutes of just this one shot of, which, hey, kudos to them for keeping this shot up for 10 minutes. But again, it's nothing but, what was that? Like, there would be like 30-second long gaps in between when they talked. And when they talk, it would just be like, shh, hold on. Okay, I think it's, no, shh. For 10 goddamn minutes. It's so freaking boring and pointless. I know what he's trying to do. I know that he was trying to go, well, if it was actual found footage, there would be just like 10-minute long stretches of them. It's like, yes, but found footage should feel like you found some interesting tape and, oh, you're getting like a peek into this life. That's just, everything is going wrong in there and something supernatural is happening. But it should also feel like a found footage film, like that part of the word in there. Like, that's also important to this. And you need to realize 10 minutes of people just, shh. What was that? Shh. That's not interesting. No one wants to watch that. Yeah, it was infuriating me during that sequence because it just wouldn't end. And then when they finally leave the camp and they're running along, the next morning, you have to remind me, because this entire movie is beginning to blur together to me, but I think that they do like survive the night, and then that night they wake up and they then walk around in the circle, which is just totally being ripped off from the Blair Witch. Like, they totally did do the whole like Blair Witch, like, no, we just went in a circle. I remember that rock from before. I was like, God, there's nothing original about this at all. And then at the very end of this film, it's night again. They're running around. You never see what they're running from, but then there comes a moment in which the camera like finally lifts up and you can see it. And there's just some old naked lady there.
Yeah.
And they shriek and drop the camera and run away. And then I think like also like the camera then starts getting dragged along the ground.
Yeah, like I think maybe like they fell and they were still holding onto the camera.
So they were supposed to be getting dragged away.
Getting dragged away, like I guess they were supposed to be dragged away by Bigfoot, or maybe it was that crazy naked lady. I don't know.
But again, like, okay, so you're wondering, like, okay, well, what's the mystery with this crazy naked lady? Nothing. Credits.
No. Like, it was never brought up in any other time in the movie that there might be a naked lady connected with Bigfoot or anything.
I kept thinking, like, was that one of the people that they interviewed in, like, town? Because I don't think it was.
I don't remember.
Everybody in
like
town
that.
is just listed as themselves, so I don't think they got them to come in just naked for one scene there at the end in the woods. Yeah, it really feels like Bobcat Goldthwait was like, yeah, okay, the real terror out here isn't Bigfoot. It's all the crazy hill people. Because there is a moment in which, like, they're interviewing a guy whose dog was murdered in the woods. And that's actually kind of an emotional moment because the guy's like, so do you think it was Bigfoot that did it? Like, I don't know. I just want my dog back. Like, and that was a pretty emotional moment in there.
Yeah, it's
and
like,
he was
honestly,
I don't care about this Bigfoot stuff. I just lost my best friend, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like, screw you and your Bigfoot bullshit. I'm not feeling well. I'm sad right now.
Yeah, I'm sad about this. Like, leave the poor man alone. Don't, like, try and drag him into your Bigfoot shit. But there is a moment in there in which he was like, oh, it could have been anything. I mean, there's crazy hill people living out there that, like, no one even comes in contact with. And it feels like that's what the end of this movie was. It was like, oh, you guys are all scared of Bigfoot. There's crazy hill people out there. They're the real terror. And I was like, don't, like, just... This isn't like the Blair Witch in here, where you give me, like... And I know people out there, a lot of people hate the Blair Witch, but I think it's got a lot of good merits to it. But the Blair Witch... Throughout the course of the film, every single shot isn't too long. Like, they keep it for, like, the exact right amount of time. Mm-hmm. But every single, like, this thing early on in the film, they get into the woods, and then, like, day one, what's this thing over here? That wasn't there last night. Oh, we just stumbled on this thing. What is this thing? Oh, mystery building. Oh, big house. All leading into that. This person's gone missing. Running around looking for this person. He's standing there in the corner and then dead. And it's like, okay, well, that's a mystery. That is a mystery. Was the Blair Witch doing that thing? Who was that? Why was he making him stand in the corner like that? But okay, you built up to this thing. And then again, when you go back and watch the Blair Witch again, you do see, okay, all right. There is someone in town mentioning a serial killer that lived in the woods and would make people stand in the corner when they killed the other people. So, okay, it is kind of set up. The only real setup is, yeah, there's some crazy wood people out there. So, crazy wood person is a naked old lady? It's, okay. Was she like, I think she even had like blood on her face or something? Like, so was she like a cannibal? Was she eating people? Are you introducing some Hills Have Eyes shit here in the last literally 30 seconds of your movie? Yeah, it is one of the worst setups for a final reveal in any found footage film I've ever seen. And found footage films are known for crappy endings. Found footage movies have such bad endings to them because the footage has to get found somewhere. Mm-hmm. There has to be a reason why the footage is found. So a lot of found footage films do end with camera fell, person is dead. Just like that. Mm-hmm. The end, whatever. This one is so much lazier than all of that because so many of them would at least kind of build up to this stuff. And this one, there's nothing like to fear, like no scary buildup or anything until, like, I guess that guy gets introduced telling them not to go into the woods with half an hour left in the movie. Then there's another, like, 15 minutes of digging around. Then there's 10 minutes of them going, what was that? Then 5 minutes of them running around screaming, no! Crazy naked lady, end of movie.
Like, honestly, if you could just cut out, like, the entire first, like, hour and just, like, cut to them, like, going into the woods.
No, because then you still have the 10 minutes. And that's the thing that I have to, like, really give this movie negative points for. It's not like there was just a bunch of bullshit at the beginning that I didn't care about, and then you finally get into the woods and, okay. Again, you get into the woods, and then it is like, they are in these woods for one night. I have to come back to that. Think about how many other found footage films you have seen about people traveling and getting lost in the woods. It is over the course of many days, and you see stuff progressively getting worse with every single night. This one, it's one night. And that entire night is, shh, hold on. What was that noise? What, hold on, shh. Oh my god, could that be Bigfoot? It almost feels like Bobcat Goldthwait is fucking with us. It almost feels like he saw Blair Witch, said this is an awful piece of shit, and the people who think that this is good should be shamed for it, so he tried to make his own version of Blair Witch, and purposely tried to make it as shitty a version of it as he possibly could. Because so many things in this are the same beats from that first film. They go around interviewing all the people. Hey, Peach. Peach actually freaked me out because I didn't see her and she just jumped up on my legs. Get up here, you little weenie. But yeah, so many things in here. They go around interviewing all the people in the town. They go into the woods. They get the warnings about not going into the woods. They get lost. At one night, they hear things out in the woods, and they're like, what could that possibly be? Next day, they get lost, and they go around in the circle, run around, scared of a thing that you can't see. Then all of a sudden, one weird, crazy reveal of a thing that makes no sense at the very end of the film. Bam, the end, it's done. It really feels like he just went, oh, Blair Witch? I can make a shittier version of that. And I gotta say, I'm not just coming in here as like a Bobcat Goldthwait hater, because even though I do have some problems with every single one of his movies, every single one of them has something unique to them. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them has something in them that makes it go, no one else could have thought of this except for this guy, and I gotta give it points for being so unique. It is really creative what he was able to do with this film. I gotta give him some points. There is nothing to this movie. Mm-hmm. This, to me, almost felt like a paycheck. It felt like someone out there came up with a script for a Bigfoot film that he thought was great. He thought was going to rock the world, and he just needed a director, and Bobcat Goldthwait just needed a check. So he was like, all right, fine, screw it, I'll do your stupid found footage Bigfoot movie, whatever. But knowing that he also directed a Bigfoot documentary makes me go, oh shit, maybe this actually was a passion project for him. And then why did it turn out so horrible? And then why is there no Bigfoot in this? Yeah, it is so just mind-boggling what went wrong in this film. But yeah, I really hated this movie. I hated this.
Yes, I could tell, like, while we were watching it, you were just...
There was literally moments in which I was yelling at the movie, oh my god, move on! Like, I was actually yelling that at points in this movie, and it takes a lot to get me to yell at a movie. It takes a lot to get me to yell at a thing that can't hear me.
What's your final...
I'm gonna give this a 2. It is low. It is... Because like I said, a 1 is like racist propaganda. Like, you gotta get like that bad for me to get down to a 1. So, yeah, man, I'll say this. It isn't like offensive to any group out there, except for, I guess, hill people, as this movie calls them. So, okay, maybe there's a bit of that, but... Hey man, I grew up on a farm out in the woods down in the south, so I didn't get offended by that. I'll give it a pass on that. Yeah man, I'm giving this a 2. What'd you give it?
Probably a 2 also. Is like, once again, there was like a lot of potential, but it just like blew it out the window.
I want to see a good Bigfoot movie. I think it's a cool ass idea for a horror movie monster. In fact, oddly enough, again, this is the 3rd review we've done, so I've got such bad mush mouth. We keep talking about the Blair Witch. The guy who made the Blair Witch actually did make a Bigfoot found footage film, and it's not scary, but it's actually kind of fun. I actually kind of enjoyed it. I think it's called something like It Exists, something like that. It's something like very vague and could describe anything, like some kind of a title like that, but it's actually kind of a fun film. It's not really good, but I did enjoy it, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that Bigfoot is just a badass in that movie. Like, that entire movie, like, after Bigfoot, which, they run into Bigfoot early on in that film, and then they're just trapped in a cabin all throughout it. Bigfoot is just fucking with them throughout that movie. And Bigfoot is, like, jacked up on, like, steroids in that. Because there are moments in which they are riding their bikes and trying to get away from Bigfoot, and they'll like turn and they'll like look off, and they'll see Bigfoot just doing like the $6 million man run like after them. It's kind of fun just seeing like this crazed Bigfoot go after these kids. Again, not a great film, but yeah, it's better than this one. Here's my quick review for that one, 5 out of 10, which is miles above this one. But yeah, man, someone make a good Bigfoot movie. Someone do it. All right, thank you guys very much for tuning in. This was the first of our found footage movies. We got 6 more of these to go through, so come back next time. And happy Halloween.
Bye.
I had to go and add that effect in afterwards, because clearly 2 human beings could not create that sound. Clearly, that didn't actually come from our voices, because as this movie told us, no human being could come up with... Also, that had to have terrified so many of you. I know, that clearly was a sound coming from a monster, and not something really tiny that got its tail stepped on. This movie's awful!